The text of a German writer, Bertolt Brecht, a poem. I made more woodcuts with the text, but this is just a fragment. This is observatory, 1977, 2007. In front of my house, I was attacked by 3 guys with guns, and I thought they're going to kill me, and they robbed me, and I was so under shock. I did a number of drawings and big woodcuts also. These are just 3 examples around here. How I felt, how I've been attacked from 3 guys. You know, they just shouted, "Money, money, money, where's your money?" And they're holding a gun in front of me. I came home, I was in the country actually with Artscape. I came home 2 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly these 3 guys standing in front of me with guns. It's called connected. When you are connected with fiber. And then I just had DHVs and electric wires all over, and they wanted to put some extra poles up there, so creating a new forest in the observatory. Besides the electric poles we already had, they wanted to put some others on there. Underground, but they also had the lines going up and it's cheap. So, I mean, it definitely influences me on all this.
Welcome here at our art centre, which I also name very fondly, it's my house or my home, and it's everybody that actually has anything to do with the art centre. This is your home. I must say that this is a very, very special occasion. That being said, first, my name is Cindy Arling, and I am the principal of this art centre. I grew up in small towns where there wasn't really art in schools. I got into study art with a very, very, I'm not ashamed to say, but the drawing that I've used in a history project. That being said, I only actually really got to see a wonderful, genuine Manfred artwork, and that was when I was in my 20s, and we're at the William Humphreys Museum in Kimberley. So I don't know if any of you have actually been there. If you get into the front door, there's this big sign, "Please don't take photos." And then obviously me asking, "Can I take photos?" And no, and then them following me through all the corridors so that I don't take photos. And then there's small little corridors, and there's actually a very big collection of Peter Clarke's as well at the William Humphreys. Yeah. And then you get into this big open space, and then there's a bench, and what do you see? You see games. nice and big in front of you. It was one of the most amazing things. And now I'm still pinching myself. It's like, do we actually have Manfred Zylla here in our house? Yes, we do. Do we actually have all of these wonderful artworks that stretch through a lot of years, that is a combination of printing and drawing and painting, and our learners are so lucky and so privileged to be able to actually experience this.
Now, walking through last Tuesday with Manfred, he then informed me that the oldest work dates back to 1963, and I take it at that point you were in Germany at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. But guess what the work was about? And how old were you in 1963? 12?
Right?
Oh, you were a young man. I was 3 years old.
1963, I was
25.
23.
To 23.
24.
23 in 1963.
24.
24 in 1963. Pre this mass. Okay, yes, the hippie revolution had kicked in, but the environmental eco-consciousness had really sort of sunk in. And guess what his first work in 63 is? Against pollution. So he was always bitching and moaning about something. He was always aware there was something rotten afoot. So actually an integral part of the way in which he actually engages with the world. So when I walked through the exhibition with Manfred, there were various different works that he showed me, but I just made a list of some of the themes of the works that struck me. The forced removals from District 6, then a commemorative work of Lionel Davies on Robben Island, then reflections on Franco's evil power in Spain, you know, and then a personal record of being robbed outside his house. You know, a painting of Chris Harney's murder, you know, a commission of Marlene LaRue, you know, the selfie, an artwork about the selfie pulling out one's own face. So this weird sense, that's Manfred's words, that what's happening here is already sensing there's something dangerously wrong with that. You know, to call it narcissistic is to compliment the pathology of selfdom. You know, it's something else darker that's going on here. It's something that's more ghoulish. This whole idea of being sucked out of you through technology. So there's that. So there's pollution. There's the realm of the digital. There's personal pain and streets. There's the problems of imprisonment. It goes on and on. And then what I love, the ode to the Trafalgar Pool. You know, so there must be romance somewhere in the middle of all of this, right? But of course the medium, as you know, vary, and some of the other ones are acrylic and Hessian, and the ones you well know, charcoal drawings and woodcuts. But the thing is, the materials are being used, I think, because it's something that Catherine said to me as well. We were discussing digitization and our nerves around that space. Oh, how do we use that to act? How do we use the digital to teach? Well, really what we're doing here is more analog. Well, analog is good. Analog is great. Analog is lasting, and it's very healthy. So in many ways, the exhibition embodies and epitomizes what is best in terms of analog forms and expressions in the art world. But there's one last thing I want to mention, and it's to do with that work over there. Manfred, who is the person that drew your housemate over there?
Jimmy,
Yeah.
okay.
Because there's something written on there that particular young man mentioned to Manfred, which I want to basically wrap up this talk with. Because it summarizes all we are and can be, and it is the following. If I roll myself together, I become the whole world. So it's in a sense, this is one of the core principles behind what I believe is happening in this institution, in the vision that Peter Clarke embodies, in the world version of Manfred Zylla, and what we as the attendees in this space need to also understand as we move forward. How do we actually bolster ourselves? How do we strengthen others? How do we roll ourselves up together and become the whole world? Thank you very much.
is particular. I made 3 different composition babies. I call it composition baby. It was the uprooting from District 6. I used a child crying there, and then this is the new development. There's the Mitchell's plane in front, but where the kids came, where the people have been forced to move from District 6. I use zinc plates, I didn't use copper plates.
Okay.
So this is also childhood, so because he was an orphan, and also it's also an aquatint, you know, he became a teacher, art teacher at community art project, which was happening at District 6, so in Chapel Street. This is going to be the last color. Everything is cut out already. The same principle I worked on this particular drawing, on this woodcut. It's exactly same. I made about 13 different people. Cut out. It's a fragment from a poem from a German famous writer, Bertolt Brecht. Just one section. I've got another plate at home, but we just want to show you. See, and Franco was still in power. He was a real fascist and Nazi, and I did a whole series on Spain that time about the fascism which was still existing. And what I experienced there were German tourists walking around in Spain. At that time they could officially, they could sing Nazi songs still. Nobody took them to court, you know.
Oh, sorry.
Pen and ink drawings. I just drew business people, how they make business, and then I use graffitis. Graffitis which we found at the community art project in the church. Some gangs, they wrote some graffitis over, and I used these graffitis again over the business people. And here is another. So these are four color woodcuts, 4 different plates. It's a story out of the Old Testament. I'm not a very religious person, but the story of Hiob or Job fascinated me. And this is now South Africa, 1976. I was living in Eslon, and the uprising was in Soweto, started in Soweto, and then the uprising also went over to South Africa, to Cape Town. And it was very heavy. It's heavy. The police, the army, you should have known. I don't know, maybe your parents told you. Sometimes the army went into schools. They threw tear gas into the school. The kids running out, and then they were shooting them. I work in a printing company, and what they do always, the printer, when he starts printing a new print, he first uses old paper and let it run through the machine. So we call it waste-proof. So there's images on there on this, which he prints over and over again on the same paper before he uses expensive fresh paper. So sometimes I go there and pick out some of these prints, and then I paint it exactly with 4 colors. With acrylic, you can see with little fine pencil, brush strokes. I painted these figures. And then what's also happening, to match the color, sometimes you have to cut out the paper and put it on the image and see if the color is correct with the original. So I started also cutting out these figures, you know, speechless, he can't talk, they're nice people, but he can't talk, he's not allowed to talk. And so, see, that's why these cutouts. You know. We came from Germany and we visited our friends, and then we were shocked to see this. And then what I did to make this effect, I painted the whole interior scene. This James is from Ghana, he was a reporter, he's not alive anymore. And I made that painting, then I took it out to bring the effect of a shot of the blood. I went into the forest, put the canvas on the floor, and I climbed up a tree, and I threw the paint out of a bucket over the painting, and then I lifted it up so it looks like blood is running here down. You're losing your face if you make too many selfies of yourself. That's why you can't imagine. It could be a skull, it could be the death, it could be something else. Okay. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You know, I came here many times already.
Kube kure kuba kakade, kube kure kuba kakade, tu mamina, tu mamina, tu mamina, inkosiam, tu mamina, tu mamina, tu mamina, tu mamina, inkosiam. Today I want to talk about, it is Manfred's exhibition, but I first want to congratulate the Peter Clarke staff of the gallery. When I walked in here, I realized it's not just a work for you, it's passion. Because the first thing that I've noticed, it is the maintenance of this building. You can do whatever you want to do, but if you don't look after a historic building like this as a team of maintenance, of preserving a place like this for the future, you must always think about the next generation. Then you are also not the karma in this place. People won't feel and don't come back. So I want to say, thank you. By just doing this, you're upholding the name of Peter Clarke. And I want to first start with Peter Clarke, because he was that kind of person that was not for glory. He was quiet. He stayed in a small house, but he had a voice. And he was neat. And he looked after the maintenance of his place. He's got all these maniertjies he had. We all know him. Yeah? I call him Mr. Clarke. So, I want to give to you today, your job is not just about your students, the work and the portfolio that they must have. It is also about the preservation, the restoration, and also to uphold this space. Because they will go out into the world and think it's only about the art, but it's also about the spaces they're going to create out in our communities. So I want to say congratulations. Now I will start with my friend Manfred Zylla. Am I right? We had huge fights, but I love him to bits. I don't think that South Africa has ever give Manfred the accolades that Manfred deserves. And Manfred, he could have just gone to Germany and just be a German and just do art and sell his art. But he didn't do that. He came to South Africa and he stayed in South Africa. And what did he do? He saw apartheid. And he didn't close his eyes. Because my speech today is about, you can't be an artist if you can't make a stand. You need to be an opinionated person. You need to be able to see the world through a different lens. You need to be able to say, this is an injustice that is happening. So Manfred's work was about not to say, oh, I have a Manfred Zylla hanging on my wall space. It should be, I have a Manfred Zylla to remind me of my conscience
in this world and the injustice that is happening still in this world. So what Manfred Zylla's work stands for is to take a stand for what is not right. Also to take a stand for what I see in the world and what and how I see you. Sometimes people say, Manfred, make a portrait of me. I laugh. When they see the portrait of themselves, they say, I don't want it anymore. Manfred will say, but this is how I see you. So, why I'm saying this is that Manfred sees you through his artistic eyes. You see yourself in a mirror, sometimes with your arrogancy, and an artist sees you totally different. And why is it critical that we need to have artists like Manfred? It is critical in order to tell the politicians, stop it. The first thing a country does is to close the mouths and the singing and the writers and the visual artists, is to ban them if they want to indoctrinate the population. That is what a regime does. They do that. Why don't we have arts in our schools? Arts as a subject in our schools. These are some questions we must ask. Because critical thinkers are being closed. Your mouth are closed. Why do we have the horrific things happening, gender-based violence in our communities? Why do we have corrective rape still having? Why do we still have xenophobia? Why do we still have where we have hate crimes against the gay community? When we have the most powerful constitution? Because we don't give the artist the right to be artist and the right space in our communities. Our country is on the verge because, and I can say that because I was a political activist and I'm still one. No one will tell me to stop. We can't stop now. We haven't arrived, people. What we didn't do, we first started with black economic empowerment. We should have started with social impact in our communities. When you're black and you're poor, you stay in Kailicha. When you're colored, you're poor, you stay in Manenberg with Manfred had his injection. Hello, I won't go on like that. No? If you have a little bit of money, you go to the ex-Model C school and you live in the Levy suburbs, and then you experience the new South Africa. But this is all artificial. It's artificial. That's why the work that you have taken to show here to your kids at the FET part of the education department, because I was a subject advisor in the education department. I made their life hell and they made my life hell because I didn't believe in outcomes-based education. I said outcomes-based education is for a rich population. We should have in every school or pockets of school art teachers going around, and you have a cluster of schools to teach art, to teach music, to teach dancing, so that the anger of young people can go out of their bodies, to be able to be anchored, to be able to say, but this is who I am, this is what I can do with my body, this is how I can speak and do justice in my community. But what will we do is that our population is drugs, it's gangsterism. And what do? We are hiding behind gated communities. We're behind the security walls that we have. And we must ask the question, why? If we don't have the arts as priority, a child that is busy with practicing the piano, a child that is busy playing an orchestra, a child that is thinking, what painting must I do next about my granny, about the history of my town, and I want to say there's no such thing as township, it's living areas that is just run down. Okay? Forget that's what this is also a township. It's just been serviced by the city of Cape Town. So there is no time for you to think of robbery. There's no time for you to think of having tick because you are focused. So I always say, politicians, you don't even know what is your powerful tools. It's artists. Artists make you think. And I want to say, if we look at our paintings of Manfred here today, it speaks to every era. It speaks to the era that we want to forget. Hello, how can I forget that I grew up in apartheid? Okay, I look a fabulous 54, but okay. No? I love my age. But you can't take away my experience. You can't take away that I contracted polio because the black clinic ran out of polio vaccine and the white clinic didn't want to give me the vaccine. Thank the Lord I have polio now. I've post-polio, I contracted the bloody COVID. I'm now hardly can walk, but that's not the issue. What I want to say to you is that these paintings speaks to the generation so that we must never ever go back to apartheid. For the white people, I say, get over your bloody guilt. Get involved. Get involved. Get over your guilt that you are white. Accept that you were born in privilege. Accept it. Okay? And then you move on. Then you ask yourself, what contribution am I going to make? I go on like this in Parliament as well. No? So, important is to say, when are we going to move away from the color? Okay? Because apartheid was a mindset, people. It was a mindset. And it was successful. So how can we use the arts in a way to start? I hate these words that government talk about, social cohesion, transformation, all on bloody paper. No, we should be action driven. Our first step should have been to look at the divides in our communities. Kailicha, Manenberg, Weinberg. We should have had active programs. And they thought that time I was mad when I said close all the schools, close it down. And you put the best scientists, maths, art teachers in your most impoverished schools. You know, Lord knows the fight. They thought this is a madman, woman. And I must tell you, the district that I worked in was this district. I had the Wynberg district, the Cape Town district, Mitchell's Plain, Lekker, Langa, Nyanga, Bukuletu. You know, the principal was with me. They wanted it. They wanted, because remember that time, there was perhaps 5 music teachers at the school. And we needed to go and have only 1 or 2 music teachers. And I said to them, the plan should be, and art teachers, why don't we have pool of very critical and very much trained teachers, and they will go clustering around to teach art at the schools. The politicians said no. What do we have? We had an arts and culture learning area, which is absolutely rubbish. Why do I say that? When there's a free period, they take any teacher to fill that. So what do we say? For me, that's gutter education. I fought against gutter education, I won't be involved in gutter education. And it's very important, because if we can't teach excellence, don't teach. If you can't teach critical, don't teach. Don't be involved. If you can't teach the best tools, don't be involved. And this is what Manfred Zylla is about. He gives you the best. Critical thinking, consciousness, but also art that is of high quality. And this is important. You can't just say this is an art piece, but my God, it's not quality. That's also tokenism. Then you mustn't hang it. And I want to end off today by saying, we have nowhere to go. This is our country. I don't want to go anywhere. Sorry, Manfred, you go to Germany. I have nowhere to go. I just want to make a difference here. So, the interaction is what the arts can do and must do without showing the PVW Botha finger that Manfred is showing here. Because art speaks to the soul, the interpretation thereof. So there's no thing like, for me, like black art, activist art. Art for me is art. I want to make it clear here. Because if you look at the work of Manfred, it speaks to us as a country. It is not dated art. It is art which is relevant. So today, Manfred, I want to applaud you that you say yes to our friend Peter Clarke in his space, and also to the staff. And I'm very emotional because so many things happened. Because if this time haven't changed you as a person, nothing will change you. Because you've seen things in your lifetime that perhaps we never thought we will see. So let's count our blessings as well. Let's say every day when we come into this building, wow, I'm blessed to be in a space like this. Wow, I'm blessed to guide a young person to be a next leader. We don't have spaces like this only to teach art. It's about the next leadership. The next leadership that must be critical, that must be ethical, and must have a moral compass. And this is what art is about. Thank you, Manfred. Thank you, Peter Clarke.